Welcome to the JulioRWrites podcast. I'm your host, Julio Rodriguez, and this is episode 1. Episode 1s are usually special, so sometimes you have like the very special guest, and I do have a very special guest today. His name is Austin Varco. If you don't know who Austin Varco is, he is a San Diegan, born and raised, and he's also a race car driver. He drives everything from a Spec Miata to an Arca Menards car to now in about a month or so, he's going to be taking a major step up and driving in a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series car. For the NASCAR San Diego race weekend. It's something that he's been working on behind the scenes for about a year or so. And with just about a month to the race, everything's coming into fruition. That's something that we discussed. But we also discussed about other things and about how for the past couple years, ever since he was diagnosed with autism at the age of 21, he's become a advocate for many people on the spectrum. And so just to give Austin the spotlight that he deserves, I really hope you enjoy our conversation. I know I definitely enjoyed it. Really great guy to talk with, just to interview. And I really hope you guys enjoy this podcast. So without further ado, we're going to turn it over to the interview. If you're interested, just leave a like, subscribe to my channel. And yeah, without further ado, Austin Varco.
Austin Varco joining me today. Thank you, Austin, again for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're kind of doing a lot right now as pertains to just racing in general. But for those who don't know who you are, can you share who is Austin Varco?
Definitely. So I'm a NASCAR driver from Chula Vista, California, born and raised here, live here now. And I have this really unique opportunity to make my NASCAR National Series debut live on Fox Sports in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at Coronado, June 19th. And so we've been doing a lot of promotion around that. A little bit about me. I've been racing for 23 years. I'm 26. I went to USC, so a little bit of a rival school. And I started racing professionally just 2 years ago. It's when I quit my job to do that, but I've been racing since college. So I started racing race cars at 20 years old. And a little known fact, I guess becoming a little more well-known, is I was diagnosed with autism at 21 years old. And it changed my life. It changed my perspective on racing, and it changed my trajectory and how I was going to use this sport as a platform for good.
So awesome. And obviously, I know you just alluded to making your NASCAR debut in San Diego. I want to go back. Last year, NASCAR announced that the race was coming to San Diego. I myself, again, am like a local like yourself. So I was thrilled when they announced it. I would imagine that you were the same. Can you tell me about your reaction when you saw the news that NASCAR was coming to San Diego?
So I had some thoughts that it might be coming, because NASCAR hasn't had a race in Southern California in a couple of years, and they just had this street race in Chicago, and it was, they announced that they weren't going to go back there. And so I thought their next key market is Southern California. So there has to be something here. It's either going to be GP Long Beach or they're going to do something in San Diego. So sure enough, the day that the news is announced, I fired off some texts to my mentors who, 2 of them are team owners in NASCAR. And I said, hey, what are the chances that I can go do this race? So this has actually been in motion for, it has to be about a year now. And, I just started on the fundraising side of it in, I want to say November, December. So we've really been hitting it hard the last couple months trying to make something of it.
And so, yeah, it's like no secret that you've been working behind the scenes to secure a seat for the weekend. Just how difficult is it to actually put together something to be able to get the opportunity to race on this grand stage?
It is super difficult. It can't be understated how different racing is, motor racing, from every other professional sport. So in the MLB or the NFL or the NBA or any other sport, if you have a lot of talent, you can go and do the draft, or you can get picked by a team and you can end up somewhere. And on that team, you might have a roster of between 20 and 60 guys or gals, right? So in racing, the entire sport of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is limited to 36 drivers on any given day. And then the Xfinity Series, or Riley Series, has another 36 to 38, and then the Cup Series has their 40, right? So on any given weekend, there are only 120 drivers, which is about the size of your average NFL roster. So that's the whole sport. So from a standpoint of competition, when you show up on the racetrack on race day, you might be competing against 38 guys. But every other week of the year, you're competing against every single NASCAR licensed driver for the same seat. So it's an entirely different sport. It's driven a lot by talent, but mostly by money and your ability to secure sponsorships, because it's an incredibly expensive sport. It can cost anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000 to go race one race. Yeah, and that's not an exaggeration. You've got tires, you've got your crew. They have to stay in hotels. You have to feed them. You have to pay them. Then you also have your fuel, and you've got your brakes, and then you have damage. So it all adds up, and it's all really expensive.
But I guess the good thing about the Craftsman trucks is that those things look like tanks pretty much, that they can take a hit.
I think all of NASCAR is very contact-oriented, push and shove racing, which thankfully I'm not a stranger to. I've been doing spec Miata racing for several years now. It's how I started, which is essentially Miatas, which are inexpensive, converted into race cars. And those are cars that it races very similarly. You're pushing people down the straightaway to break the draft. You might have contact in the corners. NASCAR is a little bit more Rubbins racing for sure, but the cars are built for it.
And I guess sort of on the MX-5, sorry, I said MX-5, I'm thinking of the Mazdas, the Miatas. You just actually won last week in your Spec Series race. Can you just talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a really fun story. So, well, not fun, it's a painful story. But so in 2020, I built this race car. It's my first ever race car that I built. So took it down to a shell and put it all back together. And we bring it all the way to Utah for its debut. First ever race on this chassis. Races out at Utah, blew the motor up in the second session. Very, very expensive engine. It was all the money I had in the world at the time tied up in this car, blew it up. So dejected, I returned back to San Diego. The car sits in the garage for 2 years. And on Wednesday of last week, I got a message from the series director of NASA, which NASA is a amateur club racing organization that allows people like you and me to go to the racetrack. You get your racing license, you bring a race car, which can be built or bought, and you can go race it in a class. So they field spec Miata. And so I got a text saying, hey, Austin, do you want to come out and help build the field up? It's an incredible opportunity. Here you go. So my car's in my garage with no engine and no transmission. And, you know, it hasn't been run in 2 years. The seatbelts are in my other race car. And so in 2 days, we got this thing ready to go. We got the engine in it. It had never started before. So we started up on Friday, get to the racetrack, 3:30 in the morning on Saturday, blow tech, didn't pass tech. Car was not safe by any stretch of the imagination. Work on it all day Saturday, get the car to the dyno Sunday morning. At 9:30 a.m., we had our first heat race, our first race in this car. And we were on the dyno at 9:15, getting the motor running for the first time. So show up to the racetrack, start last, because I didn't qualify or anything. It's my first laps ever in this motor, on this car, whatever. And so we show up and found myself within a lap in third, just passed and passed and passed, get all the way to the front, get to third.
Carnage, you got to take advantage.
Yeah, and just made stuff work, get to third, then I get to second, and then me and the leader check out, and 15 laps later, the white flag comes out, and I'm on his bumper. I'm like, I still got a shot at this thing. We get to the last corner of the last lap, and I'm pushing him down the straightaway, ready to make the move, and he pulls left, and his car blows up. Last corner, last lap. It was handed to me. I felt terrible because I would have liked to race for it, but to win, it's racing. It's happened to me before. It's happened to everybody, and so. I went on to win the first race that motor, that car ever ran. So I was really, really, I'm still over the moon, and it was a week ago.
And still winning a race, people think it's the easiest thing in the world, yet what you just told me proved that it's absolutely not.
No, just showing up is really difficult. I mean, if you're not made of money, it's an impossible it's a possible battle just to show up. But once you do, then you got, you know, you're competing against really talented drivers, and especially in a spec series where all the cars are the same, which is kind of like what NASCAR is. NASCAR, there's a little bit of you know, disparity, like there's differences between the cars. But in Spec Miata, all the cars are the same, and everybody shows up with their A game because you need every edge you can get.
And I guess that's what you're going to. I guess that's what you're going to be seeing in the Craftsman Truck Series, because they've already ran one race. They ran the street race in St. Pete, and that looked pretty interesting. Did you have the chance to watch that?
I did, and I was studying the cars that I think I'll be racing against, and you know what those cars were doing and how they were moving through the corner. I think the challenge with jumping into a race like this in the middle of the season is everybody who's racing in that series has been racing in it the whole year, or most have. And so you're fighting an uphill battle from the get-go because you have all these guys with tons of experience that are just hopping in on another Saturday. And so I think that San Diego becomes a little bit of an equalizer because it's never been done before. No one has ever seen this racetrack before. It's never been made before. And so to come in and feel like the slate is sort of clean, and I might actually have a chance to compete, I think San Diego is going to be critical in terms of making my debut anywhere. I think this is one of the best places to do it.
So I guess in a sense, you know, we look at the track itself. If off the top of my head, I think it's 16 turns, 3.4 miles. What are your overall thoughts on the track?
I think it looks bad fast. It's going to be really cool. It's the exact type of road course that I have tended to do well at. I'm a to a little bit of a deprecating trait. I'm a little bit of a sendy driver. I like to really drive in the entry of the corner and just let it stick, which has served me great at certain points in my career. It's also, you know, I've crashed cars because of that. So I think San Diego, the layout lends itself to that kind of driving a little bit. And so does NASCAR. That's something that oval racing guys are really good at, is just absolutely bombing it into the corner and just letting it stick. So I think that that's going to suit me well. I also think that, you know, I've never played sports on a court. I guess I played lacrosse, but it was back in high school when your home team was just your town that you were in. I've never really had like a home track or a home track advantage, but I do think that, you know, it's rare that my family and my friends get to come to see my racing. And I think having that support network is really gonna allow me to push to a level that maybe I wouldn't get to if I was somewhere else.
And I would guess, you know, you have this hometown hero vibe going on for you. Just how much has that helped you behind the scenes be able to approach teams to be like, I really want to get a drive for this race?
I think it certainly helped. It certainly helped when approaching sponsors and creating relationships with local companies. You know, for those that don't know, NASCAR's superstar of the last decade was Jimmie Johnson. And Jimmie Johnson is from El Cajon. And so to be able to say, other than him, I'm the only San Diegan racing in the Craftsman Truck Series race, has been both really special because those are huge shoes to fill, and also, you know, just kind of an honor, because everyone who knows me knows that I love this city, and it was all I talked about when I had to go to school in Los Angeles. So to be able to represent it, even in a very small way, it just means the world.
You speak about sponsors. I saw today, actually, you picked up a new sponsor, the San Diego Realtors. I saw you were out there today on your story at the event. Can you talk to me about this new partnership that you formed with them?
Yeah, so today we announced that Shopping San Diego Houses, Shopping SD Houses is on board as a sponsor for this event. So They're a giant network of realtors. They have outrageously bold car wraps. If you've seen them, you won't forget them. So it seemed perfect that they were going to be on our car. Something that I try to do, on a business side, as a racer, is get the most value out of a sponsorship as possible for the sponsor. A lot of people think that when you sponsor a race car, it's just putting a sticker on the car. And in some cases it can be, but in this case, I'm from here. I have access to race cars. I'm going to absolutely make the most out of any partnership that I do. And so with them, we're going to be doing appearances with the race car, bringing it to them. We're going to be doing ticket giveaways, all kinds of stuff that just create value for them and for their customers. I think that's been, finding those kinds of things have been the most important parts in making these partnerships happen.
Now you have other special sponsors, like Special Needs Coffee is one of your biggest sponsors. I think you also sponsor yourself with the autism branding. Can you talk to me about just what this would do in terms of, having sponsors like that on your car during a race weekend that's nationally broadcasted or internationally broadcasted?
Yeah, I think you're, having. Sorry, 1 second, my dog's barking. I think having anybody be putting. Sorry, he's a golden excitable. Okay, I think we're good. So I think having anybody that believes in you and what you're doing and vouches for you just really helps push through some plateaus in terms of, once you have the first company that says, hey, this guy's doing a great job for us. He's representing us well. He is giving us really cool, unique opportunities. And he's, he carries himself well, whatever the feedback is. I think if you can take that feedback and leverage that and say, hey, we did a good job once before, this is how we helped them. This is how we can help you. I think there's no downside to it. And, as partners start to take notice of it, you get a lot of support that way. And I think it's the only way to exist in this sport. I mean, certainly with my background, my parents don't support this financially. It's all me at the moment, or my partners. And so it just means the world to me to know that there are some who have been strangers that buy into me and believe in me and believe in what I'm doing and the impact that I want to make.
And so just in a sense, this is going to be a huge opportunity for yourself. Just tell me about what is this going to do for yourself? What are you hoping it's going to do for your career going forward?
NASCAR is all about opportunities. So as we mentioned before, there's on any given NASCAR weekend, there's 100 available seats, right? And there may be 300 drivers. There may be 150 competing for those 100 seats. So if you can help yourself stand out to a team, whether that's bringing the car home in one piece in a really good finishing position, outperforming who was in that seat the last week or outperforming your teammate, it just helps you be the guy that gets the phone call the next week. So while I don't know that this race is going to, get me in the Daytona 500 in a year, I do think that this race, if I drive the way that I know I can and represent my sponsors the way I know I can, I think this race positions me to be the guy that gets that phone call. And it's an important one, especially if you don't live in North Carolina and you're not in those conversations every week.
And I guess sort of, I kind of want to just talk a little bit about yourself. Your love of racing goes back to when you were a child. I remember reading on your website that you were in a go-kart around age 3 all the way until I think age 10. Just what about professional racing series? Well, growing up, what were you watching? What are you watching now that kind of gives you that gave you that inspiration that I want to be just like this guy or like that guy?
I go a couple directions with this question. So I was born in 1999. I was born on the night of Tony Stewart's first NASCAR Cup Series win. It was the Exide 400 at Richmond Raceway on Saturday, September 11th, 1999. and I was born at night. So I popped out to that race. So, and furthermore, I was named after Austin Cameron, who was the NASCAR Winston West Rookie of the Year in 1998 or 7. And, in some ways, I think I was bred for it. With both of my parents amateur racing growing up. My dad's still doing amateur racing today in Spec Miata, and he can wheel it. Like, he's still there at the front, still the widest car on the racetrack. So I think, in some ways, I think I was meant to do this. In other ways, I look at my dad, and my dad started racing at, I want to say 32 or 36, and is a really good driver. A lot of the guys and gals that he raced against in the early 2000s went on to have successful professional racing careers. They've raced at Le Mans. They've raced at Daytona. They've done very good things, and not just one, several of them. And so, growing up, I didn't see that then, but I see it now, and what he could have done in professional racing, but couldn't, because he had 2 kids and a job and a real life. And so I look at this opportunity and I say, I'm using it to show my dad and my mom, what the Varco name could do in professional
racing. A set of questions. I think just overall, I'm really excited just to see you out there, just to see a new name, because it's always great just to see a new face, a new up and coming racer, whatever. Because there's always just this general excitement of just getting into the paddock. So what are you looking forward to the most in terms of just being there on the race weekend in the paddock?
I am looking forward to riding the ferry from downtown to Coronado and hanging out with NASCAR fans for 30 minutes, and then riding the bus from the ferry landing over to the base for another 10 minutes and talking to a bunch of new NASCAR fans, and then getting on the base and hanging out with my sponsors in the pits. And I'm a different person when I'm at the racetrack. I'm a lot more social, and I'm just really excited to embrace the city and talk about what I love, which is racing and NASCAR, with like-minded people. I think that's what I'm most excited about. And then when that all fades out, I'm really excited to be the first guy to go over 40 miles an hour without getting a ticket on Coronado. So, I'm really excited to go really fast on that island where I went to high school.
That sounds pretty great, man. And I just want to say, like I said, I'm really excited for the weekend, but I'm also really excited to see local home talent, whether it's Jimmie Johnson or yourself, sharing the track together. Because like you said, I think he's going to be doing the Truck Series too, right?
He will, and if he breaks, I'll get to say that I beat him for the rest of my life.
You just gotta watch out. You gotta dive him out to turn 1. Even though turn 1, turn 1 is not really diveable. It's more like a fast sweeping right-hander.
I'm hoping to have a better story about Jimmie Johnson after this. I think it'd be awesome to meet him. He's like an idol of mine growing up. But my one Jimmie Johnson story, I was at the Long Beach Grand Prix, and I was working in 2021 before I even had aspirations of professional racing. I mean, maybe it was a pipe dream, but I was just racing.
He was running an IndyCar at the time.
He was running an IndyCar, and I was there. I was on pit lane. I was holding a fire bottle, like I was a volunteer worker, and I was trying to, it's calamity on pit lane right before the race, right? Like, all the drivers are there, all the sponsors are there, all the fans are on track. Like, it's total calamity. And it's 5 minutes before they hop in their cars and go. And so I'm just trying to stay out of everybody's way and stay a ghost. So I'm standing next to the porta potty and just, arms crossed with my fire bottle, and bam, get knocked forward by the porta potty door. And I turn around, and I don't know that I was mad. It was totally my fault for standing there, but I kind of turned around a little frazzled, and it's Jimmie, effing Johnson, who steps down from the porta potty, grabs me by the shoulders. He's like, "I'm so sorry." And then hops over the wall, and then gets in his Indy car. And it was at that moment that I realized 2 things. One, I'm standing there in my driver's shoes, and I'm the same height as Jimmie Johnson. So, I don't know if I'm measuring my height wrong or if Jimmy's height is wrong on Google, but it's certainly not the same. And two, Jimmie Johnson is a human because he also has, adrenaline, related bathroom things that happen right before the race. So I thought that those two things were hilarious. And, hopefully I don't embarrass myself in telling that story in person, but I'm hoping to have a better one for after the.
I think that'd be a great story to tell him. He'd probably get a good laugh out of it.
Maybe he'll be like, "Who's that weirdo?" And then he'll see me get in the race car, and he'll be like, "Oh God, the weirdo's on track."
you just drive, as you drive, like you said, as you dive bomb him into turn one, just give him a little wave. Please give him a little wave, just like, "Hey Jimmy, goodbye."
One can dream, man. One can dream.
But I guess sort of this is going to be like my final question for you. It's not really a question, but it's more like if there's anything that I didn't touch upon that you feel like you would like to address.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on here and giving me an opportunity to share my message and all that. I would say, I guess the only thing we didn't really talk about, I have a nonprofit, 501c nonprofit called Race for Autism, or Accelerate Autism Inc. And I give kids and adults on the autism spectrum the opportunity to experience the racetrack without going to the racetrack because of its, sensory problems. And so we bring racing simulators and race cars, and I sign autographs. And this is something that we do every year. Last year we did 12 events. I think we were at events up to 25,000 people. So we have a lot of impact at that program, and it's something I'm really, really proud of and love doing. So if that's something that someone who wants to get involved, shoot me a message. My website is race4autism.com. So if you can find me there, my email is on the side.
Perfect. Well, awesome. Again, I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, Austin. I really appreciate you sitting down with me on this Google Meets call. It's been a blast to talk to you, to hear your story, to hear what's expected to come for NASCAR San Diego, and I just wish you the best of luck, man.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you again for the spotlight, and I'm sorry I was a few minutes late. I appreciate it.